The Adrian Board of Aldermen meeting, June 12, 2023, is a courtesy of Mid-America Live News.
Have a roll call. Alderman Vick.
Here.
Alderman Hummel.
Here.
Alderman Bridges.
Here.
Alderman Sears.
Here.
All right. We're all here. Let's stand. Cite the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doesn't look like anybody signed in for personal appearances.
All right. Approval of agenda.
Make a motion to get approval of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor of approval of agenda?
Aye.
Motion passes. No personal appearances listed. So, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Department reports. Ken, you got anything for us?
I'm going to test storm sirens Wednesday. I couldn't do it last week weather-wise. It was kind of cloudy and I didn't want to come, so I'll do that Wednesday. Everything else is fine. Thank you.
Chief Disney?
I don't really have anything, Mayor, unless there's questions for us.
I'm good.
Okay.
Ryan mentioned that you're volunteering some effort to help with the community project. Thank you for that, Gary.
What's that, I'm sorry?
So Ryan shared that you
Just some
were,
of the volunteer hours.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Just add those to the other volunteer hours.
There you go. Not a problem.
All right, Chief Dillon's report is in our packet.
Ask a question, those are the citations, do we make any revenue on that?
Some.
Is there- I
Depending
just
on,
never
depending on the
heard
outcome.
of stuff
If they pay it.
That's true. I
Yeah,
just didn't
depending
know.
on the outcome.
Okay.
It's not a huge revenue generation for the
No,
city.
I didn't think it was.
You know them lawyers.
Man, what can you do?
Can't live with them, can't live without. All right. Ryan, do you have anything for us?
So I've submitted my report.
Yep.
As you can see, the change in just our investments, we've earned $112,000 in interest and dividends to date. I am in the process of going through the Department of Economic Development's Community Development Block Grant Administration Training, which is a requirement if we're going to go after any block grants, which there are block grants for sidewalks. And so I'm in that process to hopefully double the money in the budget to do more sidewalk projects this year, per the board's request out of our last meeting. And that's all I have.
And do I remember right that you're on the board for Casinger Basin?
Yes,
Nominated?
so last month I got added to the board of directors for Casinger Basin. I also got added to the CARE board, which is a economic development board. That's a kind of a subset of Casinger. And so I'm actually the only representative from Bates. Most everyone else is down in either Hickory or I can't remember the other towns. And so we have a seat at the table.
Very good. Brief synopsis of what the CARE thing is all about?
I don't know a lot, other than what they focus on is economic development. I think initially it was kind of established they bought the building that Casinger Basin operates out of, and then it kind of developed into more of a regional, what other things can they do to bring more economic development and more businesses into the region. And so I haven't attended a meeting yet, the first one will be next month, and so I'll have more of an update after that, after the first meeting.
Fabulous. Well, sound of that.
Thanks, Ron.
Public Works was submitted to you in writing. Mark's through as well if you have additional questions.
Yeah, I just want to say while I'm thinking about it, thank you, Mark, for staying on top of everything as always. Doing a great job. If there's any citizens that don't feel like Mark and the guys are getting to your tree limbs fast enough and you want to get rid of them sooner, come on up to City Hall, grab a key, and we'll let you in the lagoon and dump your stuff.
Staff also did some improvements out at the park. We removed the wooden pillars that surrounded the volleyball courts, created a more safe area to play. At the last park board meeting, there was a request to start up a volleyball league, and so staff removed those. We also rebuilt the judges' stands so that it's safer for those that are actually judging or refereeing the volleyball tournaments.
And there is a adult softball league this year. They started also. That will actually start, I believe, this Sunday. So, co-ed adult, correct. And Garrett Pierce is heading that up.
All right, water plant reports in the packet too. Short and sweet, to the point. $10 million gallons produced for the month of May. No leaks this time around, I guess?
Not so far.
All right. Mr. Hummel, do you got anything to
No,
update us with?
park's really busy right now. Just to encourage everybody to pick up their trash. Sheriff Anderson had an event last Wednesday with the kids' rodeo. It went extremely well. Things were great. We do that I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month. Had a huge crowd out there. Just encourage everybody to go out and try it. It's free. So check out the farm. So other than that, everything's moving right along.
We'll also say that the park committee, we had a vision planning session. We looked at wants and needs for the park, and so we've taken that first step. We came out with a pretty extensive list. At the next meeting, we'll go back through the list and we'll start to prioritize the things that we want to see happen and develop, and then they'll bring that to you as well.
All right. Mrs. Touchstone, do you have anything for us?
Nope, not today.
Good to see your smiling face tonight.
Thanks. Good to see you all too.
Jeremy, anything from the finance committee?
No report.
Everything good?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, let's move on to item 7.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda passed. No unfinished business? That'd be awesome. New business. Let's start with Joey.
Lions Club asking permission for a permit to sell our fireworks. I have a copy of our state permit that the fire marshal says that we can sell fireworks.
When are the fireworks taking place this year?
We sell from the 27th to the 4th. That's what the city ordinance states.
Good. Make a motion, we allow the Lions Club to sell fireworks from the 27th to the 4th in the city of Adrian.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's it.
Oh,
Very good. Besides the
Okay.
permit sign.
Okay, I thought so. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
You're welcome.
Sir, to answer your question, we'll find
Mayor gets a discount this year?
Always does.
out. I think it's the, is it the
Same discount I get when I get my haircut.
I think.
So it all runs together.
Joe, I'd be worried about sitting down there, Nick. but-
Yeah, well.
Or
It'll-
what's the hair, what do you think?
Mine will grow back.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the Low property. It's on First Street and the railroad tracks. We're going to talk about vacating and selling. Okay. Is that right? All right.
Yes.
That easement.
Yes, sir. I have it up on the screen. I've highlighted the area that they're asking about.
Right.
So, so who wants the Lowe's want to buy that property?
Initially, it was platted to have a road go down it, but the road never materialized, and the city doesn't have plans to put a road in it.
Okay.
And so right now, it's just undeveloped property, just that.
So we have easement all along the track, that whole stretch?
On south of First Street.
Yep. Yeah, because initially, there was a road that was platted to go through there. I can actually.
So I'm assuming there's no ordinance infringement, anything, because it gets so close to the railroad track as far as distance goes?
Well, they do have it.
You'll see on the other side of the map where the private property goes up to. On the other side.
Okay. So it would
So
be
there,
similar to
the
that.
railroad has an easement.
Right.
So that property line only goes up to the railroad property line.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So not all it's.
Not everything that's
quite all of it.
highlighted is going to be their property.
Sorry. It's not.
It'll just go, it'll butt up to the railroad easement.
Yes.
Yes, it'll go up
Yes.
to the railroad easement.
Which is what the city easement does.
Gosh, so they're probably only gonna gain 30 feet, something like that.
It's enough.
Not to interrupt,
Go ahead, come on up, Todd.
Actually, please.
let me introduce myself. My name's Todd Lowe. This is my wife, Carolyn. We live down here at 11 East First Street. Many of you I know, I work for the local gas company, Liberty, here in town. So I go to church with Matt and everything. Like Matt was saying, we'd like to inquire or just ask you guys what you guys had in mind for the Max Stevens Road coming straight south. If you guys, if the city was ever thinking about putting a road through there. And then coming off of South Virginia, as you can see, this leads right up, this little alleyway leads right up to our driveway, which is also owned by the city. And we'd like to inquire the alley, and then from the railroad tracks back to the east. Like
You just,
like Jeff said, we're not gaining a whole lot, but you know, we've had a fence there on the city, on you guys for quite some time now, and you know, we'd just like to make it right and just see what we need to do to acquire that property. If you guys ever seen that property, if you're coming up our driveway, which is the alleyway, I mean, it leads right up to the back door there.
So, not to get in a technical
Sure.
discussion here, but according to what I'm looking at, there's no easement that the city owns on your driveway.
Okay.
That could be changed, that could be something that we're not seeing because it was up there too.
Now, let me actually pull up the line.
So it looks like there's just an abutment and a driveway was made back to that property, to your house, Todd, at some time.
Back,
or another.
yeah, back when the house was built.
Yeah.
Carolyn, how old is that house? 13, 14 years old?
It's about 20 years.
Oh, 20 years.
Okay. So,
Have Matt not to interrupt, I'm pretty sure it is down.
say what?
Not to interrupt, I'm pretty sure that is down.
It's not showing an alley on here.
We've got a sewer in there.
You might have a sewer in there, so that's an easement,
Yeah, it could be.
but it's not an alley.
Yeah, no,
Same
no.
thing with me over here.
Yeah, and you're going to sleep.
Right.
I just call it an alleyway, you know, it
Well,
may, like you said,
that's
it
what I
may or
mean,
may
you can't
not be.
purchase
Sure,
that, is
sure.
what I'm saying. You'd have to go to Kevin, I think, to make an arrangement there. Yes, there's an easement.
Okay. Now, I don't know,
There's an easement.
I don't know where Kevin owns to. He's never had his property surveyed,
Well,
so.
it's gonna be really close to the south edge of your drive. It's gonna be really close.
Because there, I know there's a utility easement in there, because there's power poles
Sure,
in there,
sure.
so.
They have an easement,
Yeah,
but there's no actual alley. There's no
Yeah.
separation where there's a city property
Well,
going
but
down the.
Mapes
down
County
the driveway.
GIS is such a good platform, isn't it?
Well, you know, but
You know what?
it would be different if I had a mouse.
What you need is Onyx hunting app.
Or a hunt stand. Or a hunt stand.
stand. Tells you exactly who owns it, all that.
That's
better
than
That's what I use.
Yeah.
but that's what we come to.
Yes, the main
For
thing
you
is
guys tonight, exactly on that west side.
on the west side.
Don, do you guys ever, just never wanted to put an access from First into your property?
No, never really have thought about it. You know, taking out we like our yard, it's nice and big, we got the pool out back, so.
You
We
guys do a
like,
great
we like
job
coming
taking
up
care
there
of
off Virginia Street, so.
traffic in the driveway.
Yep.
Plus, if you pull out there, somebody's coming from the west on the tracks.
Yeah, and they fly over them tracks.
Okay.
So what do we need?
So now
to-
I have it pulled up.
This has the railway
Yeah.
easement. So this, yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. See, there's no alley there.
Right. So it's just border to
Yeah,
border.
border.
So I guess the yellow outlines the property line, right?
Yes,
Matt?
yes.
So you, yeah.
Yeah, according to this, there's no
Sure.
city property
Yeah,
going down there.
sure,
This would be what we would be talking about tonight.
yes. Okay. Looks like we're looking at it on the map too. But like I said, if you guys all know the property, we got a fence running right down the middle here, so, as of right now, so.
It was platted.
Yeah. If you look real close, I think
Yeah, I
this
think
is
you
your
can see it,
fence.
yes.
This is your fence.
There is an alley platted on the plat map. We'll have to do a little investigation.
Yeah, I think.
one?
Yeah, on this one here.
They
Yeah.
call it east of.
Yeah.
Coming up the driveway.
So I think at the very least, we're gonna have to
Or used for driveway.
get some surveying done.
That'll have to be a survey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Figure out, as far as hanging on to that piece of property between his property and the
Tracks.
train track easement. We're not gonna put a road through there. There's no reason for it.
Nope, not at all.
Start
But-
seeing any issues with it?
So I think,
You don't see any issues with it?
personally, I think we can move on it, but that's not a yes, because
Sure.
there's still a lot of technicalities.
Oh, yeah.
Just
You know-
move forward with it and make it happen.
Yeah, I'd say we could, in my opinion, is we could move forward on it, on investigating it at least.
Sure.
And then we'd have to value it and, all that stuff, talk about price and all that.
Sure.
Need a motion?
No, just a directive. We'll start to investigate it.
So this will go to unfinished business next month, right?
Yes.
And we'll talk about it then.
All right.
So,
And we'll find out about your driveway. in the
Appreciate it.
meantime.
yeah,
Thank you for your time.
yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Moving on to the budget approval.
So gentlemen, after our last meeting, I added an extra $100,000 to the budget to address the sidewalks and some additional road repairs. My hope is that we can take that and use it as a match for a community block grant, or even maybe to see if there's some federal funds for roadways to double the amount of project that we can do. And so that's really the only change in the budget, was adding the $100,000.
Where'd you get it?
Basically, I transferred it out of capital improvement.
That's what I figured.
Yes, sir.
So matching from ARPA?
No, matching from, we have a capital improvement account, a fund that has $670,000 in it, and so transferred $100,000 out of it for the budget.
And what you're saying is you're gonna try to apply for a matching grant of some sort,
Yes,
if you can get it.
yes.
And That way the money's already in the budget to use for the matching funds.
Correct.
Sounds like a smart idea.
Do you have one in mind?
Well, there is the community block grant that is available for sidewalks. And I believe there's some federal grant money out there. I'll have to pursue more of that one.
Do you happen to know, and if it doesn't be matching?
It's usually, it's dollar for dollar.
Okay.
So, for every dollar we put up, they put up $1. So if we have 100, it goes to 2. Yes.
Is there a limit?
No. So if we want to do a budget adjustment and go after more, to do more project, we can absolutely do that.
And if we don't get the grant, we go ahead and spend the $100,000 on that project anyway. It's just not as extensive as we want it to be, right?
Correct, sir. Yes.
So we're ready for final budget approval, so we're ready for
Make a
Can
motion.
you- I'm sorry, can you tell me where it is on the spreadsheet, just so I can see it with my eyes?
Yes, sir. So on the first page of the budget, which was the fund summary, you'll see that the general fund, and I'm on page 50 of your packet, it went from 1.6 to 1.7.
Okay. See that?
And then if we go down to this department, this is a lot easier with the mouse, I apologize.
No, it's not going to work.
I don't have, the mouse isn't hooked up to the, it's department 40.
I see it.
Repair
I
and
see
maintenance
it.
was 100,000 and now it's at 200,000.
Mhm.
Sorry, I couldn't get there.
That's okay, I appreciate it.
Say again, what page that's on?
This is on page 66. So now, in the budget for streets, there is 400,000 budgeted for street repair. 200,000 for the outer road, 200,000 for the city.
Page 16 of the budget.
Yeah, page 66 of your packet.
Lines 64050 and 64060. Sorry, I appreciate it. Trying to hold it up. I just wanted to actually see it with my eyes before I said I approve it.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion that we pass 2023, 2024 budget approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does this require a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
So now we'll go to,
It's up here.
Oh, we got our,
Oh, I didn't-
the ordinance though.
yeah, the ordinance. Yeah.
Ordinance number, bill number 23-09, ordinance number 1159, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto. I put this in the form of a motion to approve what I just read.
Second.
Alderman Sears,
Aye.
Alderman Bridges.
Yes.
Alderman Hummel.
Yes.
Alderman Dick.
Aye.
This will be the second reading of bill number 23-09, ordinance number 1159, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto. Make a motion, we accept it.
I second that one also.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So,
I thought his first motion was good enough for a first reading.
No.
All right.
So we, you know what?
But we
What
got
did they say, measure twice, cut
We
once.
passed it 3 times.
So we did a third reading?
all good.
Thorough.
Cover the
Thorough.
bases.
Cut nicely, should cut nicely.
Now, if it ends up being bad, we'll have, they'll be, man, they proved that thing 3 times. Can you believe it?
Can't believe Jeremy didn't write that.
So this will be all posted on our website soon?
I will finalize it in the system and I will post it. Right now, the last version was posted on the website. I will post the final version after the
So everybody can go and check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just want to say again,
a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
Tremendous amount of progress from 2 years ago. So thank you.
Alright. Dog kennel proposal.
So gentlemen, as you are all aware, we have issues with stray animals within the city. Now, this is not an issue that is unique to Adrian. Every community is experiencing this. In fact, most city kennels in various cities, Harrisonville, Butler, Raymore, they're actually at capacity. Again, it is a widespread challenge. As you hopefully saw, the animal control van, we got it back from the art shop, the sign shop. So we have the vehicle to collect them. Now we just need to talk about where to put them once we collect them. And so I looked at a couple different options. If we were to construct a building, it would be considerably more expensive than actually going with a prefabbed commercial kennel that actually has all the equipment and all the amenities that meet the state requirement, the USDA's requirement for having a pound. And it's ready to use from the day that they drop it. The idea is whichever model that we want to go with, whether it's a six animal kennel or an 8, we would actually put it behind City Hall. That way we could attach it to the water and the sewer here. We would then move the recycling operation over to the city's lot that's behind Main Street, which actually is...
That'd be a lot better.
It'd be a lot better, absolutely. And then it would actually give us, we could actually close this off and then just have it for city operations. I sent you guys a video that showed the delivery of one. It's a pretty impressive operation. The city that was actually in that video saved them about $100,000 over constructing it themselves.
What's your recommendation?
So there's a pricing guide that was included in your packet. Yeah. I'm leaning towards just a 6 animal kennel. We'd be looking roughly about $50,000, which would come out of either capital improvement or the city's just general investment.
Do we know the timeline?
Usually takes anywhere between 60 and 90 days, but I'd have to verify to see if they can either get it to us sooner or if there's any supply chain disruptions.
Our current police staff would be handling these responsibilities.
Between that and city staff, I actually volunteered to take a turn in the day myself.
Is that a thing?
I'm sorry?
Training?
We would go through some training. We're actually we're renewing our tranquilizers. They've expired. I've spoken with Dr. Kling in Harrisonville and actually made arrangements with them to any aggressive animal. Once we keep it the mandatory time, they would also do the disposal. So,
Just use 2 hands.
well,
I pictured the hook on the end of the stick, and that makes me nervous.
So who's going to be taking care of all these yapping things while they're sitting out here behind City Hall for God knows how long?
Actually, that is the responsibility of the police to actually monitor the care. They have to document. That's actually kind of by statute.
Cleaning the facility also?
Those duties would be shared with city staff.
Is that
Again,
all,
I won't ask my staff to do anything that I'm not willing to do.
is that all spelled out somewhere yet, or is that a work in progress?
It'll be a work in progress. A lot of it is dependent on whether you guys want to move forward with this or how we want to proceed.
Was there any talk at all about putting it out there behind the barn?
We did talk about putting it out behind the barn.
What was the discussion there?
Part of it was drainage. We weren't sure. We'd have to tie it into the septic system. And putting so much water down it, we were just worried to overflow the septic. And so we thought it would be better to actually tie it into the city sewer.
There's two things that I don't like about this at a glance. The first thing is, if we put this thing here, then it kind of obligates us to use it. And I'm not saying that we do need to address the issue, I get that. But I don't like the idea of strapping our police department with another significant responsibility without giving them more staffing, first of all. And also, I don't like the idea of having 8 dogs in a kennel right in the middle of town barking all night. And that is going to happen if we put that building there. So those are my concerns. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying those are some concerns of mine.
The location concerns me. So you tell me why you feel like this location is better than another location.
Here, we could tap it right into the city sewer, so as we're flushing, as we're washing the kennels daily, it would drain into the sewer. If we put it out of Public Works, it would drain into the septic tank. And there's a chance of putting so much water down it. I don't know how it's designed. It was the conversation that Mark and I had that, we could do it, we just don't know what the ramifications are.
Where was that in Mike's Vandalism?
Say that again, Mark.
I'm sorry. Wherever it's at in Mike's Vandalism as well, we do have a new camera system in Vincent.
I understand it'd be a little safer here. I get that, but I'm kind of like Jeremy too.
Yeah.
We put a wooden fence across the back, and sound barrier, they might block a little on the side.
It would help.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
would help some.
No, I get a price on that, a wooden fence across the back, 6 or 8 footer.
I don't know.
Are we at the point where we need to purchase one yet, or do we need to just get more questions answered before we move forward? Because we gotta do something about it. Yeah.
What about like the lagoons?
Is there water out of the lagoon?
We have to run water out there, we don't have no water.
And so that is a requirement. It does have to have a fresh water supply. That's the USDA requirement.
Stand up, PJ. What do you got for us?
Recognize PJ.
Yeah, so the old dog pound is out there by the water system there at the bottom of the hill. Is there anything there?
Oh, there's a little shed left there.
But I didn't know if there was any drainage, any gutter, sewers or anything.
It got washed out in the grass. Yeah, it got washed out in the grass. When nobody was watching, pickup trucks got back to the building.
Yeah, back in the parking lot.
That's what they look at back.
Yeah, they should drink it.
And we had a lot of places,
Another question is, do we have an animal control policy in place or standard operating procedure that addresses how long we keep a dog, where the dog goes after its time here, all that stuff? Do we already have that in place, or is that something?
Some of that is spelled out in statute. Usually there's a mandatory 5-day hold. Sometimes it's as long as 10 if the dog is bitten. Afterwards, once we held it the required amount of time, then we can dispose of it as we choose. Butler actually has an arrangement with the Joplin Humane Society to where they actually come up and get them and rehome them. I'd like to explore that as opposed to just destroying them. But we have the ability to just destroy it once we hold it for the required amount of time. Right now, our animal control does fall under police purview. they're the ones who get called now anytime that there's a problem dog. Initially, my thought was is to establish the program. City staff would aid in it, and then maybe hopefully bring on somebody part-time later on to remove that responsibility from our current police officers.
Right, yeah, I'm not saying that, I understand that it's under the scope of the police department by state, but you know, in most cases, that would be that the police department would have an animal control branch.
Right.
The patrolling officer would not be the guy that would have to get in the dog catching van,
Right.
drive around and chase the dog, bring the dog back here, clean the kennels out every day, feed the dogs every day. I don't, and I won't like that to be a part of our police officers' regular daily routines. I don't like that. They have, that's not their job, quite frankly. So if we're gonna, again, I'm just one guy. If we're gonna do this, I think this is a little bit cart before the horse. Personally, I would like to see a plan in place for a policy. You know, I know some of it's outlined in state statute as far as what to do with the dogs. I would like to see a policy developed that says on the parts where we get to choose what we're gonna do. I would like to see at least a midterm or long-term plan in place to establish a position of somebody besides a patrolling police officer that would be responsible for our animal control problem. I don't want to be, I understand the need for this, so I don't want to kick it to the curb, and I'm not trying to stop progress, but I also want to make sure that if we're going to do it, we do it right. So I guess that's where I'm at on it.
Our current procedures is that those duties do fall to our patrol officers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that if they do go and pick up a dog, which right now our holding facility is a 4x6 pen in the garage. And so we can only hold one animal at a time. If we do have an animal, the police officers are required to sign a sheet every hour or every 2 hours saying that they've checked on the animal, that there's no feces in its pen, and so it is in their realm currently. Now, whether that was by policy, I honestly didn't look at what our policy was. I was just looking at what our current procedures were, and then trying to come up with a solution to address it long term. Eventually, we do need staff.
But this would just add more room
Space.
to what we already have.
It would actually allow us to kind of get a handle on the problem. I couldn't tell you how many feral cats or how many dogs run at large within the city. We have had citizens that have been directly impacted by it. Their animals have been killed, and so it is a concern that has been voiced by the citizens, which is why we're taking the steps that we are. Because the last thing that we want to have is a child get impacted.
Well, I think we can do both. I think we can find a place for space for these animals and work on moving the responsibilities and getting more staff and all that at the same time, because it's already been like that for a long time.
Has anybody ever
But
moved,
we
has
need
anybody
to
ever
change
moved
it.
into their house before they finished building it? That's all I'm saying. You don't ever finish building a house once you move into it. That's just the way it is, but that's just my opinion. I'm just one guy.
And your point is valid, sir.
Yeah.
Your point is valid.
Whether it is or not, it's my opinion. So.
No, it is a valid point. And initially, we looked at putting it out at Public Works, because that's where I thought it made the most sense, out away from everybody to deal with the noise. And it wasn't until we started talking about, whether or not the septic system could actually handle that much through it. And I don't know enough about septic systems to actually have it.
I don't know about that septic system, but I do know about cleaning kennels. I don't know if it's going to put that much pressure on it out there.
All of that said, Brian, I will say you have a pretty good track record of making good decisions.
Thank you, sir.
And had you just done this, I probably wouldn't have said anything, but since you gave me the opportunity.
Well, so this is outside of my purchasing authority. So
We'll never get that 3 minutes back.
So do we want to move forward? Do we
And have you
want
talked-
like exploratory? Do we want to?
Have you talked to Chris about this?
yes, he's on board.
So how many animals are we taking in right now?
Well, that's the challenge is that
There's nothing we can do with it.
After one, number two goes somewhere else. So,
right, and so it's kind of one of those where
Everybody else is full.
I don't want to make excuses for the city because it is a problem that we haven't addressed. The challenge is that when you don't have a place to put them,
You just don't pick them up.
you just don't pick them up, and unless it's vicious, unless it's and so it's one of those things where now the interesting thing is if you go back and look at old minutes of the city back 100 years, this conversation was happening 100 years ago. Animal control, it's been a problem, and it's always a challenge. And unfortunately, people don't take responsibility for their animals.
Well, and I'm as bad as just a couple weeks ago, I'm out for an early morning walk and 2 pit bulls come after me, and had I not had hot coffee, it could have gone differently, and I didn't even call anybody, because it's just like, well, we're not gonna do anything about it anyway. And so we need to move forward, we need to quit kicking the can down the road. I just would like to have more input on the SOPs, and I know right now it does fall under the purview of the police. I think we'll just revisit that, clean it up, and make sure everybody's on board, come up with a good plan that works for the next decade. Not sure I'm a fan of the location of it.
so would you like a motion to give you some guardrails, since it is above your budget?
Well, actually, since this was just a proposal that I wanted to start having this conversation. With your permission, what I'll do is I'll investigate further, get timelines of what it would take to actually for them to deliver. We'll do a little bit more research on moving it out to the park and have the conversation again next month. In the meantime, I'll pursue the conversations more deeply with Butler to see if they have some more capacity to where we can start picking up the pit bulls that we don't want anybody to have hot coffee as a defense if they're out walking. And so we'll kind of pursue that right now and then bring back a more solid proposal to you next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Wild pit bulls,
Is that?
those wild pit bulls, they walk.
They were over here somewhere.
I don't know if it really matters, does it?
So what did you do? Did you sit down and offer them a coffee?
Well,
Sit down and talk about it.
Decaf or, yeah.
the issue is, and we have ordinances against dogs running at large. So if they belong to somebody, that's a lack of responsibility that needs to be addressed. If they don't belong to anybody, then that's a problem that needs to be addressed. If they attack somebody and then you find out they do belong to somebody, you're talking about a liability that you don't want any part of. So anybody who has dogs, if you let them run at large, that needs to end. Because if a child gets attacked, you're looking at a high 6-figure liability minimum.
Well, it's against our ordinance anyways.
Right.
We have a leash law and they need to be contained, so. All right, let's move on. Talking about bill number 2310, resolution 1160.
So this, actually, Yvonne brought this to my attention after attending a clerk's training. We need a resolution that just says that we follow the sunshine law policy of the state of Missouri. In this policy, it also talks that we actually follow the record retention policy set forth by the Secretary of State. And so this is just basically doing some cleanup of things that we should have adopted as just a matter of record. That way, if anybody ever comes in and questions or makes a request, okay, we follow the policy set forth by the city.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Bill 2310, Resolution 1160, the resolution of the City of Adrian, Missouri, adopting Missouri Sunshine Law policy.
Second.
And if we could have a roll call, those.
We're gonna read it twice.
No, just once, it's a resolution, but I'd like a roll call.
Jeff Vick,
Agreed.
David Hummel,
Agreed.
Jeremy Bridges.
Yes.
Matt Sears.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Now we need to do one for the next one, right?
The Optimus.
Oh, that's the Optimus, sorry.
Oh, no, I want you to do a roll call.
No, I mean the 23. Oh, that's average. All right, Mr. P.J. Haskins.
I'm here to do that duty that we do every year and have done for 54 years, I think. 54. Wow, not flies. July 1st, Saturday before the 4th, would be the day that the Optimist would like to have our celebration. That would include a parade as normal, lunch and activities at the park, and fireworks that evening.
Make a motion we,
Victory against America.
make a motion we give the Optimist Club the authority to pursue said activities on said dates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Right. It's official for the 55th year in a row.
If you need something, get with Burris, because Kendall and them are out there every day. If there's something I know you guys usually take care of it all yourself, but if you need something, let them know. Just different people this year.
Out of automatic.
Thanks, BJ.
Sorry we put you so low on the agenda.
Might be bad for you guys, I might have more questions.
Any discussion around this?
So the next item on the agenda is the Casinger Basin membership. Every year, they like us to do an ordinance that just says that we are, we still want to have membership in the Casinger Basin Regional Planning Commission. That goes along with our annual dues, which I believe are $374.
Make a motion we pass resolution of bill number 2311, resolution number 1611, a resolution of the City of Adrian, Missouri, renewing membership.
Go back. Say that again.
Resolution number.
I'm sorry. I make a motion we pass resolution number 1161. Told y'all I was tired. It's been a long week. It's that King James Bible's getting me. 1161, 1161. Thank you. A resolution of the City of Adrian, Missouri, renewing membership in the Casinger Basin Planning Commission.
Second.
Third. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This is the public's opportunity to come to the podium and say, ask, or anything you need. Come on up, Dan.
My wife and I, we're one of the families impacted by the dogs running loose. They did come into our property, got one of my cats who was hiding up underneath our RV, dragged her out, and both of them just killed her. And we knew where the dogs came from, and we kind of had an idea of who they might have belonged to. There's this guy that walks up and down Bates from the apartments to a house down there on the corner of 8th Street. Called the police 2 times. First time when the cat was killed. He comes out, he was very empathetic. He said, there's just not much we can do. We can't catch the dogs, we have nowhere to put them, and we don't know who they are, so obviously you can't ticket the owner. Well, one of the things that
I'm bashful.
she's checking.
That's all right.
I'm on this side. I mean, here's my problem. is I don't blame the dogs for killing my cat. If I get emotional, I'm sorry, but I love my cat. But I do blame the owner, because dogs do what dogs do. They either attack people with coffee, they bite little kids, they knock you down, whatever it is that dogs do them. But it's the owner and the city that's responsible for that. So I blame the owner for not keeping their dog leashed up, locked up, whatever. But how do they know? I didn't know we had a leash law either. I just found out by talking to Brian. And it's your fault, the city's fault, for not informing the public, hey, we've got this law in place, and you need to abide by it, or we will ticket you, we will fine you, and there's a little bit of money towards the doghouse. So, I mean, I blame both of you guys. I blame both the owners and the city for not doing your job.
Isn't there a way of putting notifications out to the citizen that, hey, these are the rules, this is a leash law requirement, and if you disobey the leash law, you get fined, or however it goes. I never see anything about anything like that, so we just basically don't know unless we specifically ask the question, which all of this going on prompted us to get more involved.
I will say one more thing, secondhand news is never good. But secondhand news, our neighbor, before this happened, was telling us how afraid she was at times, I'm sure it's the same dogs that got you, sitting on her own porch because pit bulls were coming up. I mean, do you guys not care about your citizens? I mean, I don't know. That's my big question. I know it takes money and time, but it should have been done already. I know that he's probably inundated with all kinds of stuff, fun stuff and not so fun, but I remember back 100 years ago when I first came here, as an adult rather, had bought my own home, that was a big issue. Dogs, I mean, it was, I put fences up, and nobody cares anymore. What happened? That's my question, what happened?
I would say that we do care. Okay, that's why we're having this tonight. That's why we're moving forward with the kennel system. It's unfortunate what happened, and it's too bad. Does that lady call the police every time they come to her front porch?
You know why she doesn't? It doesn't do any good.
Well, I just need to know if they are.
No,
because
she said it doesn't do any good. I said the same thing to her. She goes, they don't do anything, so why should I? I just go in the house.
I can't use that as an excuse. That's
the problem with calling the police is, you call the number, it takes probably 20 minutes for an officer to get there. Well, those dogs are long gone, unless you happen to know who owns the dogs, which in most cases you don't. And they get there and nothing they can do, they're gone.
I think the police do a great job. I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
I mean, they do a great job, and they were very, but their hands are tied because nobody makes them do anything.
well, and for us to go to the owners and say, we have no documentation that your dogs ever did anything other than hearsay from some, documentation. Call the police and document.
Ours is all on
And that's
video.
great. Yeah.
And
I think we can.
provided that.
Yeah, I think we can take care of it. I think we're moving forward in that manner. That in the future it'll get better. I mean, this board is addressing it and going to make some better things happen. I should say. I really like that you document it though.
And I'll second what Alderman Hummel said about being sorry about the situation. I have cats too, and I know they're part of the family, just like people's dogs
They
are.
are a family, yeah.
What I will say, as far as that there has been progress made and there is being progress made over the last 5 to 6 months, we have hired a company to come in and help catalog our ordinances and our resolutions so that we can get them organized. The goal is to get them published on the website, and that is being done, and it is happening. That's not something we're talking about doing. That is something that we are doing. Okay. Also bear in mind that the people sitting up here change every other year. So what happened 20 years ago, we can't do anything about, but we are posting those. We are working on cataloging the ordinances and getting them posted onto the website for the public. That being said, it is not the government's responsibility to inform the citizens of the law. It is the citizens' responsibility to know the law. So.
But it's your responsibility to enforce it.
It is. That's right. That's right.
Well, we just found out by talking to Ryan, I don't know, one of the times that people are required to register with that.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that's not very widespread.
Yeah, and that had been dormant, let's say, for a long time, and that just recently got enacted again. So your point is very valid. getting that word out to our community, it takes energy, it takes time. We're working on that, and you made a wonderful point about it's the owners. So the more progress that we as a city make in moving our community forward, will help to resolve that situation. And we've spent a lot of energy working on that. And the more that we can get there, hopefully that will have a direct impact on the number of strays that are running around. So.
And I also will say that any citizen can come and request the ordinances anytime. The city hall is open to the public, but we are, you can look through the minutes of all of our meetings, though. We are working very hard to get the ordinances published so that they are readily available for the citizens. So that is something we're doing.
Brian, are we getting close to that point where we get them on the website?
So unfortunately, the nature of that process, it's a long process because the group of attorneys actually have to go through each one of our ordinances to make sure that things haven't changed from the time they were passed to current. And so it's a drawn out process, unfortunately. And so it's probably going to need another 8 to 10 months before we're ready to publish things. We can put our current ordinance out there, and again, we can take some steps to notify our citizens of some of the more pertinent things that we need to draw attention to, and we can do that through a letter to every household in the city, and we can make that happen.
Just please understand, it's slower than any of us want. But we are working really, really hard. We've worked for well over a year to the point of buying new software, buying new computers, changing so much internally to get us to the point where we can just publish the ordinances. So our residents can go, all right, I feel like I know what's going on in my own town. So we're working on that. Very sorry for you, Pat. And sooner we can get this thing under control with that.
Well, we both look forward to seeing how this progresses.
Well, and we can do that, right? We can either put it on the website, I mean like next week, and say it's summertime, here's a reminder, here's what the expectations are for pets, or if you wanted to send out a letter, we could make that happen.
I'd like to see a letter, and I'll tell you why. I know the people that probably own these dogs care less about your ordinances, but if they have something in hand that they did receive, because of my understanding, you go out with a water bill or whatever, it's kind of a backup plan. It makes you, hey, you got it. So sorry, so bad. Here's your fine. Here's your ticket.
Well, they would get one anyways. if we
sent the
catch
letter
the
out or
dog
not.
and we find out that they're in violation, that owner is right on with that, then we would cite them anyways. They don't have to be informed what the law is.
No, I
Right?
get that.
You don't have to understand what the speed limit is.
I know, because you'll still ticket me.
That's right.
Even though I'm going 25 miles, what is it?
And the ones who have
The
the
wrong
wild
place.
dogs are going to be less intimidated by a letter than you or I would be.
Well, that's true, but at least they had an opportunity to see it, because they're not going to go on the
Well,
website, more than likely.
I've known you guys forever, right?
Yeah, I don't know you
And-
at all.
That's what everybody
I'm
did.
just
That was
saying that
incorrect.
I know what we're talking about over here. I deal with it. I chase them off sometimes. I had to call one of our officers one night when I was walking with my dog. They came out and got us, and we found out who they were, went over there and cited them. The best thing is speed, right? And I know our respond time is low sometimes, but
Well, you call 212-297-2120, which is Bates County.
yeah,
And then they have to get all this information from.
right, yeah,
And they gotta call
right,
And a dog
Adrian.
moves
yes,
fast.
right.
Yeah, dogs. pretty
So
quick.
we want to be able to cruise the streets from time to time, or on a regular basis or whatever, and pick them up before they even get called on. That's our goal, to have it continually. So, but we gotta get there.
One other thing I want to say too, and I said this to Ryan when he said what he said, is I don't want the dogs killed. That's not my goal. I mean, like I said, to me it's not their fault, but I would like to see them bring home. But if they're mean, then you do whatever you want to do. But
Well, and I want the citizens of this town to recognize that if these dogs threaten you, whether you're walking down the street or they come on your own property, you have the right to defend yourself. even against a dog.
I couldn't do it.
I'm just saying for the record and everybody out there on Facebook
I
land.
couldn't do it. I'd probably be eaten alive. I couldn't. I can't hurt an animal. That's just not. Except a snake, okay?
I agree.
Yes, thank you.
And one thing I'd like to say about our response times, through a relationship with the sheriff's office, they do our dispatching. And the money that we were paying for dispatching, they had us set aside to improve our equipment. And so we've actually put computers in all of our patrol cars now. So when those calls go to Bates County to get dispatched, she starts typing it in, they start seeing it. So it should improve our response times as we move forward.
I will say the night that our cat was killed and we found the cat's body, we called, he came, he was there fairly quick. So.
We have no complaints against the sheriff.
Right. We
It's
understand.
just the dogs.
We understand that. Thanks, George. Thanks,
you.
Kim. All right. Anybody else? McMark?
It's been an ongoing thing for as long as I was on the council. We had one sheriff shoot one right out in front of the school one day, and then we had one city councilman or city administrator gave full access to use a high power rifle shoot for wild animals. So that's, it's always been out of control. EJ and I sitting there talking, this is isolated, but I don't see a lot of animals out in the community, but I don't get
They're
out
over
like
here.
this.
No, they're on Bates Street.
Where
Yeah,
we
yeah,
live,
well,
the streets
yeah.
you'll find.
Well,
it.
where we live, there is none. I walk and I run that I work all the way up to
Sure,
Second Street,
sure.
and I don't have any problems.
It's always been this has always been an issue, and you guys, hey, I commend you for doing something. Cindy and I, we messed with this. We had some bad situations happen in this town with a little girl getting hit really bad by a pit bull.
Drug off of a bike.
Yeah, I mean, it busted her up really bad.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so we just can't reach with that little dog, and so, you guys, I commend you guys for getting in there and trying, and I hate for you guys losing your cat. I sit there and I hate to lose my cats. So.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Anybody else? Moving on.
Mayor Alderman Communications.
All right. You guys got anything?
I do.
Yep.
A few months ago, I talked about our garden.
Yep.
And I sent you something, and Ryan printed these up, so that was nice. These are just something that my daughter did. She's a year off of being a landscape architect, but you're obviously not tied to these. These are just some ideas. I volunteered to do a little elbow grease out there if we need to. These are a little difficult to read, I think, but I'm not. You can see each one has sort of a different theme going on. Didn't think we did obviously make any decisions tonight, but you can look at them, we can talk about it. I just think as we encourage people to make the town look better, we could sure do better out here. And
Well, at least there's no trash out there.
it could be a place that these guys could go out and have lunch, or that a kid could and a family could stop and sit on a bench,
right,
or whatever,
Sure.
and it would just make the city hall look good. Look even better than it does.
We're talking about this.
Talking about
This
right,
right out in front.
Oh, right here, okay.
The X's, there's a tree that's out there now, and a couple of sort of crepe myrtle kind of things here, and the flag poles you can see. Anyhow, just something that I'd like us to think about to make that look good out there, and I'll bring it up later.
So that is, are those like gazebos, little pavilion covered areas?
That's actually the buildings.
The purples, I think, are like chairs and tables. The X, those are the buildings, the squares with the X's across the top. That's where we're sitting right now. They're on the
Okay.
top one.
Gotcha. Awesome. I love it.
Some great ideas.
Great ideas.
And you could mix and match, and I'll put it on the agenda for next.
Anything will be nice. I like those ideas.
Go Louise.
Thank you, Matt.
That's all the communication I've got.
Anybody else?
Sit out there and sip your coffee and listen to the dogs bark.
Man, watch the train go by and not blow its whistle.
Shots fired.
That was unnecessary.
We do have some business regarding real estate and personal matters.
All right, since we're done communicating, we're going to close to executive session.
Make a motion to close regular session, move into executive session.
Second.
Third. All in favor? Roll call, sir.